Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me here today. And if you want to follow along, we'll be back in the book of James. Still working on getting out of the first verse, trying to get started. Did a little introduction, and then this first verse is still kind of a little bit of an introduction for us. And so we'll be picking up there in the middle. We looked yesterday at how James said he was a servant, a slave of Jesus Christ. And now, as we go on in this verse, he tells us who he is writing to. He says, "To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting." So, James is writing, first of all, to believers. He's writing to believers that are scattered, to use his word, that are have through persecution, for whatever reason, they have scattered out. And so, first of all, he is writing to a very specific group of believers. He is writing to believers who were members of the 12 tribes. So he is writing to Jewish believers, and that have been, again, scattered. Most likely, in that scattering process, they've lost most of their identity as a Jew or a Christian or most anything else. They've had to pack up and leave, and so he is writing to the 12 tribes, to all of those tribes, wherever they were, whatever condition they found themselves in. James is writing his letter to them. He doesn't want any Jew to feel like they weren't included in his message. He is, again, the half brother of Jesus. He is the pastor of the church at Jerusalem. And so he has a message that is important that he wants these to hear, even if they couldn't identify which tribe they were from, even if they had been ran out of Palestine for whatever reason, and weren't exactly sure who their what their lineage was. He writes here. He says, "To the 12 tribes, to all of my people." Second thing that does is it tells us that James loves these people. He has a deep love for his Jewish brethren, that he wants to write them a letter that will encourage them, that will direct them, that will teach them the ways of the Lord in, again, a time when they are scattered, many times still being persecuted, and he is trying to write them a letter of instruction, give them a letter that will give them guidance in how they are to live their life. And this little letter was probably passed around, and I've heard, never have been a truck driver, but I've heard stories about how truck drivers often will hang notes on the walls of bathrooms and truck stops, like warning other drivers that down the road here in this particular place is a place where the police are bad to sit. Things like that. Here's a place you can get good food. Don't stop here. They charge you too much. Those kind of things. I can only imagine that this letter was done something like that, that it was passed around, that it was hung on the walls of the synagogues, that it was passed from Jew to Jew, so that they would hear the message of James. And what we're going to learn is that James, again, has a heart for his people. He wants to see his people that are not saved come to know Christ. He wants to help those who are saved walk in their faith, have a very practical faith, one that will be used in their day-to-day life, again, no matter where they find themselves. And so kind of belabored this first verse for just a moment as we begin into the rest of the letter, because I think these are two very important characteristics that James has demonstrated to us, that he is a servant of God, that he is a servant of Jesus Christ, a slave to Jesus Christ, and he has a love for the people of God. It's hard to comprehend how some people talk about how they love God, but then they don't love God's people. Something about that doesn't exactly add up. And so James gives us a great example here of being a servant of God, but in serving God, he has a heart and a love and a compassion for the people of God, and wants to see their faith grow, wants to see them mature, wants to see them closer to the Lord, wants to see their faith become very vibrant and working in their day-to-day life. And so you stick with us as we continue through this little letter, and you'll see exactly how James proposes we do that. Have a good day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.